Hey, I thought I would give you the Quincy Jones interview so you could see it for yourself. So without delay, here it is. If you don't know about Quincy Jones, he helped develop XDC. He's very well respected in the crypto industry, and people listen to what he has to say. So let's check out what he said.
You got private data, bro, or how about tokenized debt, or how about the rippling algorithm? No one ever talks about this. At least with XRP, the rippling algorithm means no more liquidity pools. I don't think you get this. I've literally had like conversations with like millionaires and billionaires about this, and their mouths just go. Like they literally, like their brains explode. So they're like, wait, so if I had like $500 million in mortgages or mortgage-backed securities and I want to be able to get high-level liquidity right out of it, I can very easily use the rippling algorithm on the XRP network to be able to liquidate them into what? US bonds or whatever instantly without having to go to a central broker? Yes! Yes! Yes, you can. And you can do that with hundreds of thousands of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. It's insane how different technologies can be thrusted into the future for how people can interact with them and trade on them and do all these different things that these technologies are able to do without just going into, oh, but the fees and the settlement time, guys. Come on. Like this alone, the tokenizing data and the rippling algorithm should be like literally like your biggest talking points for XRP and XDC. You will absolutely slaughter people in arms. People will be going, what? Are you telling me that you could potentially move billions of dollars without any liquidity pools? What? And you can tokenize data, which means that you can take the entire assortment of data on the internet and tokenize it and trade it, adding to the volume on the network. Holy cow. What does that mean for the price? I don't know, but it means something insane. I know that much. Like, I want to get deeper into them. I want to get into tokenizing. Maybe do an entire stream for tokenizing data, tokenizing debt, an entire stream on what the rippling algorithm means for the banking sector. Woo! People are like, oh, what about the Nostro Vostro accounts? Yeah, that's one little aspect of that. Imagine freeing up the entire derivatives market in terms of being able to take any derivative and using it as instant capital to be able to exchange for cash on demand. That's essentially what on-demand liquidity is, except Ripple adds on a lot of extra fluff. But that rippling algorithm is essentially what on-demand liquidity is, literally.
What justifies the price of any given token? The reason I'm asking this is you see a lot of speculation in the space, primarily focused around people going to the exchanges, buying a token, then hoping that more people go to the exchange and buy a token. And that sort of seems to be the driving force that people seem to understand for crypto. And I think it's a lot more sophisticated than that. I actually think there's two fundamental things that sort of gave that base level of value to any sort of crypto token, and then it starts becoming a supply and demand based off those base values. The first one is paying network fees and being able to have a certain amount of fuel to be able to execute those network fees. Now, regardless if those fees are big or small, this is just the base level of crypto that you would need just to make an execution on that network, or the base level of crypto you need to be able to execute smart contracts and complex computational functions on a network. And the more computational heavy the function is, the more gas you're going to need to execute the smart contract, at least for EVM networks. So just to be able to run a DApp, an app, a smart contract, anything on the network, you need to hold some form of fuel. So we've got that basic thing. You need to make execution on the network with the fuel of the native token. The second thing is, now that you have a native means of being able to move, let's just call it fuel. People like to call it cryptocurrency, but I want to keep it simple. Let's call it fuel. And this fuel has some sort of abstract value to it, typically because in order for people to acquire more of that fuel to execute the network, they usually have to buy it from somebody or usually give up some form of resource to do so. And what ends up happening is there's a base level value attributed to the token when an exchange made. So if I had 100 of Network A tokens and I sold you 100 of those for $1 just so you can use Network A, well, by de facto, all of those tokens are now worth a penny. And now with that, you can essentially leverage the capital of that value by being able to say, hey, look, we're both operating on Network A. I want to make an exchange with you, and I want to send you 50 cents, right? Now, I could create a set of derivative tokens that could represent the amount of 50 cents in whatever fiat currency I hold. Or I could just send you the equitable value in the native cryptocurrency just due to the fact that there's a leveraged value to it. So there's a base value because you need the token to be able to execute functions on the network. But then there's a leveraged value now that the base token has some attribute of value allocated to it. It could be as small as a penny per token. It doesn't matter. You can now use that as a means of exchange. And that allows you to have what ends up being quite interesting is that allows you to have a instantly liquid asset to be able to exchange other assets with. So what ends up happening is, first we have the network execution. You need so much of the native token to make executions on the network. To send crypto, to execute dApps, execute smart contracts, you need so much of the base token. Then the value leveraged off of that can be used to send capital and will automatically become the most liquid asset on the network simply because the network's going to have the most of it. So if I wanted to send you an abstract amount in value, I can send it to you in the native token. Now, since the native token is the most liquid token on the network, every other asset on the network can now easily be traded in I guess you can say in denominations of the native token. Doing that now allows you to have a ton of different token pairs between a bunch of different assets in the main token. This allows you to have easy liquidity to go from asset A back into the middle token into asset B for any other token on the network. And you can participate with anyone on the network simply based on the fact that it's occupying through the internet. So what ends up happening is you end up getting a supply and demand for the token itself. It's like liquidity demanded for the token itself to be able to exchange other assets and other goods on the network. So as demand for other assets on the network become even higher, demand for the native token to be able to exchange those assets also become higher. And then the demand somewhere in between the total demand for the assets that reside on the network and the total demand of volume for any given period of time. So there may need to be X amount of dollars allocated to the exchange of so many assets simply due to liquidity reasons. To be able to buy, let's say, a Tesla stock, let's say you want to go from a gold derivative into a Tesla stock in this digital ecosystem, the highest asset of liquidity would be the native crypto asset. So you would go from the derivative asset, the gold derivative asset, into the native crypto token, and then you would find liquidity from the native crypto token into whatever asset you wanted to find before. And that will essentially create a base level of demand for the token based off of liquidity demanded. How much liquidity is demanded at a certain time to be able to make exchange with other assets on the network. That is the key. And I think that's really what brings value to a crypto network for the most part. Everything else just becomes other things of value that are built on it. So if you build an application, the application is valuable based off people getting some sort of value off of using it. And because that application is valuable, the network becomes valuable because people are using the application on that network. Just as well as other assets that reside on the network. As they become traded more and more, the liquidity to be able to trade those assets will increase the demand for the fundamental asset itself. It's liquidity demanded. The liquidity demanded at any given time in terms of being able to exchange a specific amount of value in volume. So this is exchanging asset A for asset B, asset C for asset D, in any capacity. So you could just be exchanging 2 assets, you could be exchanging 3, exchanging 4. The highest means of being able to move between those assets, the most liquid asset would be the native crypto token. So that liquidity demanded will create more demand for the crypto token. And with that, I think that's where you're going to get into sort of the future of crypto economic theory, what type of demand is also going to be presented to the network based off of the dApps and services that are built on top of it. Because if you had the next $1 billion application with the next 100 million users, well, that application resides on network A, which means that network A now has 100 million more users. And you end up getting this demand for the network based off of the different uses that people get out of it. But that's what I think fundamentally builds the fundamental demand on any sort of crypto network is the execution fees and the cost it takes to be able to run computational resource, and then that extended liquidity and the liquidity demanded to be able to move between assets on the network with the native crypto token. I hope you guys like that, and I hope you guys like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one, and peace out. Later.
Why do I hold XRP? Because Ripple's the chosen one to lead the new global digital payment system, and they use XRP. In 2013, the Federal Reserve began looking for faster payments options. 2 years later, an action plan was born and a federal payments task force was created. It included one company focused on crypto, Ripple. In 2014, the World Bank and Better Than Cash Alliance, which includes the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Clinton Global Initiative, and the governments of 32 countries, put out a report called The Opportunities of Digitizing Payments. 1 year later, the Better Than Cash Alliance featured one crypto company on their website, Ripple. Today, Better Than Cash Alliance and all other UN initiatives are focused on a single agenda, the Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. You can see the SDGs logo on Bill Gates' lapel, world-leading companies, the Better Than Cash Alliance website, and on the UN's official exchange, Exchange. What crypto is Exchange officially utilizing for their carbon credit solution? XRP. The world will move to a new international standard for exchanging electronic messages between financial institutions by 2025 called ISO 20022. Who was the first ISO 20022 member focused on distributed ledger technology? Ripple. Who's partnered with over 300 financial institutions, including Bank of America, American Express, PNC, Santander, SBI, HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, Bank of England, India, Singapore, Scotland, Australia, and Indonesia, the largest banks in Japan, Canada, Egypt, the Middle East, United Arab Emirates, Thailand, Morocco, Bhutan, South Korea, Brazil, and Latin America? Ripple. Who is a former employee overseeing the Federal Reserve? Ripple. A former employee overseeing the world's largest asset manager, BlackRock's digital asset division? Ripple. Leading Australia's CBDC effort? Ripple. Who hired a former Treasury of the United States? Ripple. 2 former Federal Reserve attorneys to their board? Ripple. 2 former Clinton and Obama advisors? Former Minister of Defense and Economics of Germany? Former business director at Swift? Former Swift board member? Former CFO of PayPal? Former head of the DTCC? Former chief business officer at Uber? Former VP of Amazon and former SEC chair on their legal team? Ripple. Who's a member of the Digital Pound Foundation, Digital Dollar Project, Digital Euro Association, Mojaloop, IMF's high-level advisory board on fintech, Hyperledger Blockchain Consortium, Open Payments Coalition, Faster Payments Council, Global Payments Steering Group, Cross-Border Working Group, International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications, Crypto Climate Accord, University Blockchain Initiative, World Wide Web Consortium, and a featured partner of the World Economic Forum with 3 members of their team directly listed on the WF website? Ripple. Now, does Ripple and XRP sound like they're going to disappear, or do they sound like they're part of a much bigger plan? You decide.
Thought I would share that with you. Thanks for watching the Decent Wallet. Had several wallets. This is by far the best. It comes highly recommended. In fact, I love it so much. I want to get a link for you to be able to get it. Yes, it would support the channel. And what do they call that? You're a shill. You know, I don't care about all that. I think it's fun. I checked the wallet out for you. I do recommend it. You'll find a link in the description. And if you're going to get one, pick one up. Use my link. That's about it for today. Thank you.